Shabbat Shalom. What do we celebrate on Sukkot? The Torah gives us two reasons for the celebration, for the festival. One is Ki Basukot Shavti B'nai Yisrael, Botiotam Eretz Mitzrayim. In other words, it's another festival commemorating Yetziat Mitzrayim, Yetziat Mitzrayim being the event of not only the liberation from Egypt, but including the sojourn in the desert for 40 years until we reach the Promised Land. But this doesn't really jive with the date. Why should we have a date in the middle of Tishrei to celebrate the Exodus from Egypt and the years where we enjoyed divine providence and protection during our wandering in the desert? I mean, we already have a festival, Pesach, which is on the actual date of the Exodus, and so it's not totally clear why this should be a festival. Sukkot should be a festival to celebrate Yetziat Mitzrayim, especially since actually in all of our festivals, not only the Shlosha Regalim, but even Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and even on Shabbat, we say Zeichel Yetziat Mitzrayim. So it's not clear what the special connection is between Sukkot and the middle of Tishrei and Yetziat Mitzrayim. The other reason given by the Torah is that it's Chag HaAsif. It's sort of a harvest festival. It's when we gather in things from the field. But here again, it's not at all clear what in Israel is left to gather at the end of the summer. I mean, we have Shavuot, which is called Chag HaKatzir, is a harvest festival. We bring Bikurei Ma'asecha, we bring the first fruits of the wheat harvest, and we make from it the Shtei Lechem. So there's an intimate, clear connection between the festivals commemorating the harvest and the service in the temple, where the meal offering, the Shtei Lechem, the breads were from these first fruits, but there's no connection between whatever we may gather in from the fields at the end of the summer and the temple service. The Yerushalmi says that people would bring to Yerushalayim figs and grapes, but living in Israel and having a fig tree and a grapevine, I know that by this time of the year, there's really not very much to bring. And anyway, there's no connection between that and the rituals, the services, the sacrifices that accompanied the festival. And the traditional commentators and the modern academic commentators have had a hard time deciding just what this Chag HaAsif is, what we are gathering in, what we are celebrating. Now the Rambam talks about this in the Moreh Nevuchim in part 3, chapter 43, and he presents some interesting ideas. He says Chag HaAsif, what's the connection? Well, it's precisely because the agricultural season is over and there's really no more work to be done in the fields that we have time for a festival. The Rambam, in his Tamei Mitzvot, when looking for the reasons underlying our festivals, is very alert to the pshat. It's not that he's incapable of finding what people would call today deeper meanings, and he knows what the Midrash says. But if you understand his conception of what Torah is, what mitzvah is, then it's very important to get at the pshat. And so this sort of simple reason that it's a time when people are the agricultural season is over, and people simply have time to set aside for a festival. You know how it is when you're busy at work and you have to rush home a minute before the Shabbos begins or Yom Tov begins, and maybe in Chol HaMoed you have to work, things like that. So it's nothing to sneer at that for society that was basically agricultural to have the festival at a time when people were free. similarly, he says that the reason that we have the Sukkot, these booths that we sit in, these sort of temporary or prefab housing that we could set up and take down quickly during our wandering in the desert. Rambam says that the middle of Tishrei was chosen because the weather is appropriate. It's not as hot as it was during the peak of the summer, so it's not that hard to sit in the sukkah. But the rains haven't started. Again, don't sneer at this type of sort of simple reasoning, because this is really the type of thing the Torah has in mind. The Torah, when it gives its mitzvahs, wants also that the mitzvahs be something that ordinary people, without bending over backwards, can fulfill. It's something, the mitzvahs have to be something that that ordinary normal people can, with some effort, but not something that's superhuman, can fulfill. Then when it comes to the Arba Taminim, the Lulav, Esrog, Adas, and Arava, here the Rambam does mention the Midrash, and he has some interesting things to say about Midrash and how the different ways people approach it. I won't talk about it now. And he says, why were these chosen? Again, it's not clear. What are the connection between these 4 species and Chag Asif and a festival? So the Rambam says, well, they celebrate, again, our coming to Eretz Yisrael after being in a desert where there was nothing growing and nothing green, to come to a land where, Baruch Hashem, plenty of fruit trees, plenty of water, or at least enough water, and so these pieces were chosen. So the bringing these fruits and branches celebrate our coming to a land where there are things growing that are fruits and things with a nice smell and a nice look. And the species were chosen because of their aesthetic appeal, their being of a beautiful shape, nice smell, and also for the practical reason that they can last for the 7 days of the festival. So again, these are practical reasons that are important, and whatever other deeper meaning we can find, the Torah had in mind these practical reasons to make a festival which is within the means of ordinary people, and which has very nice things going along with it. The Rav, Rabbi Soloveitchik, in one of his tshuva drushos that was put on YouTube, doesn't accept any of this, and he asks the drushos in Yiddish, and he asks with great pathos, "Was feiern wir? Was feiern wir? What are we celebrating in Sukkot?" And he doesn't like any of the answers, and he says, "What do we celebrate in Sukkot? We celebrate the forgiveness that we were granted in Yom Kippur." That explains the very close connection in time between Sukkot and Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is one of the greatest gifts of God to the Jewish people, where Itzumo Shel Yom. Yes, we need tshuva, tefillah, tzedakah. There's a lot for us to do. But beyond that, and well above it all, is the actual day. It's an incredible thing that the day of Yom Kippur brings forgiveness. The Rav talks about going outside at the end of Yom Kippur and watching the sun set and saying, this astronomical or event, the sun setting at the end of Yom Kippur, brings us forgiveness and purity. It's an amazing thing to think about. Yes, again, we're supposed to do a lot of things, tshuva, tefillah, tzedakah, but Itzumo Shel Yom Mechaper. It's the day itself. This is an incredible gift, and a wonderful gift that the Kadosh Baruch Hu has given us. And so, a few days after Yom Kippur, we celebrate the forgiveness and the purity and the renewal that we've been given by having a festival. So, Chag Sameach, Gemachi Chatima Tova, and thank you for watching.